big Jew over here, and it's Passover. And Passover, my entire life, has been my favorite Jewish holiday because it's like it's replete with like themes of liberation and justice and freedom for all people. And we say these things that like, because we have known bondage, we will fight for the freedom of all people, and all who are hungry come and eat, and all that kind of stuff that we talk about the profound meaning of exodus from slavery and into freedom, and then wandering in the desert and getting tablets. It gets complicated after that, but the freedom part. So
that's all
and like, it's a hard Passover this year because, like,
hard
years,
Passover.
Like,
that's the title of this
Passover.
episode.
I used to host these like big, like, 30 or 40 person Seders in like, Communist Party headquarter buildings of like, drifting 20 something leftists who didn't have family in the Bay, and like, so
I'm sad I missed this.
Yeah, well,
before my time, I guess.
Yeah, and now everybody's like gradually got married and had kids, and we can't do it anymore. So it's a hard Passover because I look at the Seder, I look at Passover, and I think about like what Israel is doing right now, supposedly in our name and for our security, and am appalled and horrified and have a tremendous amount of grief about that, and also shame with other Jews who are like, like I literally cannot comprehend how Zionists are celebrating Passover this year, like what they're fucking telling themselves when they're like, oh, where it says all who are hungry come and eat, there's an asterisk, and offer not valid in Gaza and the West Bank. We didn't, when we said all, we didn't mean exactly all. We didn't anticipate the potential cost exposure of all. We meant some people. So and like when we talk about matzah as the bread of affliction, like they didn't, I'm no rabbi, but we didn't mean that the affliction in question is having to endure the hardship of the government that you voted for sending bombs to, blow up hospitals and children and stuff. So like, it's just like, I just feel crazy, like watching, seeing like Zionists and I know we're going to talk about it, but simultaneously like posting about Passover and about the meaning of Passover, while clearly fundamentally not understanding the meaning of Passover. Like I can't. It's so hard for me to process.
Well, that's really interesting because it sounds like the meaning of Passover, which obviously predates, we've talked about on the show, like with Naomi Klein, sort of the lessons learned from the Holocaust, which ended up turning into sort of, we need our own ethno-nationalism, in some ways, and we're sort of about re-traumatization. It sounds like maybe that Passover is actually not about re-traumatization of like the former enslavement of the Jewish people, but about like going forth into the world. I don't know, but it sounds like it is much more about seeking and pursuing justice, beyond, because of the history, right?
Yeah, I'm not, I'm a member of a synagogue. I go to services. I wouldn't say I'm like a devout Jew. Like I'm not as knowledgeable about some people about like all of the history of and the intricacies of the religion. But, I was raised like that, that like this is foundational to our identity.
Mm-hmm.
That like, that, that because that, and what is the meaning of celebrating Passover every year and telling the story every year about liberation and all of the metaphors that comes with it, and about the need to act for freedom, and even the need to, and that like we as Jews, we have a like unshakable moral obligation to stand on the side of the oppressed. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not about convenience or comfort or even success. It's about like the obligation to act in righteousness,
Yeah.
and to choose and to pick a side, and then that never goes away. That
Yeah.
when we talk about the chosen people, the covenant with God, that's the deal. That's the deal. And so it's like I just feel like if if Jews are gonna become oppressors and murderers, then we're done. Like I'm not saying that we should be killed or whatever, but I'm saying like then we have exhausted our historic purpose and we should fade away, like the fucking Assyrians, or the people of Atlantis, or like some other like
Which you're not. Which you're not saying, of course. NATO would never like willingly go along with like fading away. You're a stand-up comic. You're an egomaniac. You want to be at the center, but you want to also be pursuing justice. No, I think that's I mean, so obviously self-hating. I think we've established that early on the show. But yeah.
I feel pride in my own Jewish heritage. I hate these other Jews, is what I'm saying.
They're not the Jews.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good thing. That's a really good thing to bitch about in this moment, and especially as yes, Judaism is mangled, and so many crimes are being done in the name of the Jewish people, and also the people who are leading, these anti-genocide protests who are Jewish are ignored. Like they're not really Jews.
Like the head of the ADL tweeted that we're fake, that we don't exist. I mean, and my state senator, Scott Wiener, has been like on this thing, like constantly posting about like the anti-Semitic protesters. Like there was a protest at the Jewish Community Relations Council in San Francisco. That was organized by Jews. And he like went on the internet and was like, look, another anti-Semitic. And I just feel like we exist. Mm-hmm. Like anti-Zionist Jews exist. And not only anti-Zionist Jews exist, but anti-Zionist Jews have always existed. Like there have been Jews who understood Jewish identity around the concept of the diaspora for as long or longer as there have been Jews who like wanted a metaphorical Jewish homeland, and Jews who wanted a literal Jewish homeland that happened to be where someone else already lived.
Can I just ask you briefly, like, do you feel like you've seen synagogues and temples like step up? Or are they? Because I personally have not seen a lot of religious leaders step up. I know that there have been some, I believe, like, in JVP, Jewish Voice for Peace in like New York and such, but like, I think that's also slightly stunning that there aren't more religious leaders of the Jewish faith speaking out. But I don't, maybe I'm just not tuned into it. Well, what's your sense?
Yeah. So, I mean, from talking to other people, like, people that I know around the country, like, it's like, there are individual rabbis or individual like religious Jews who have come forward.
Yeah.
There's no like every congregation is wrestling with it.
Yeah.
As a congregation, as a community, because like there are people like there are some people who are conflicted, and there are some people who are like inclined towards supporting Israel, and there's some people who are like ready to, like, maybe not, they're not ready to be fully anti-Zionist, but they're ready to, like, be critical of the Israeli government and call for a ceasefire and whatever. And so, like,
which is huge. And congregations and rabbis are like really wrestling with, like,
I talked to my own rabbi recently about, like, because in our congregation there are people who are in Israel who were affected by October 7th, and like the kind of, and then people who are like freaked out about their perception of rising anti-Semitism and need to have those feelings validated. So I think a lot of people are wrestling with it, and it's fucking messy, dude.
Yeah, and, I bet.
Just like, because I have organizer brain that I can't turn off. It's like, for me, the question is always, how do you get people from point A to point B? Like, how do you, like I can't, actually, it was like, I was talking to a Muslim friend of mine, and I said I'd been staying away from my synagogue because I didn't want to be disappointed in my community. And she said, "Don't you dare give up on your people. Get back in there." So
yeah, we need you. Get back. Just like, yeah, gave you a little squirt of Gatorade and a massage, and you have to jump back in.
Yeah.
I think that's very real, but that's hard. It's often harder, I think. But yeah, and there's also people like, I mean, in the beginning of this, where it's like, yeah, give up on the Zionists. I mean, I blocked all of them. All the liberal Zionists who were mad at me, I blocked them all because I'm like, I can't. Like, I engaged a little bit, and then I was like, you know what? Worthless. And the worse this genocide gets, and the more entrenched they become, it's like the more disheartening. And so what am I going to do? Pick them off slowly? I can't fucking take your hand to the Google search bar and type in, Gaza, like, for you. There's only so much I can do.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that, and I've like needed to figure out how, like, what boundaries I'm going to set. I feel like I have to, like I'm, of the people who can like I've had people call me and text me and message me and like want to talk to me personally to process their feelings. And like a lot of people, what I'm running into is the people who, just because of my visibility and my, like, they're like, I will set boundaries about what I'm willing to put up with, or sort of how much time I'll put in, and for my own sanity. But like, there's just so many people who are still like, but what about a 2-state solution? Like, I feel like there are a lot of people who are like, who are appalled by who hate Netanyahu and are appalled by what the current Israeli government are doing, and like their narrative about what's happening in Israel stopped when Rabin was killed in 1995, and like they haven't paid close attention for 25 years or 30 years, and so they're still like, but what about a 2-state solution? I'm like, dude, no one's talking about that.
Yeah. Look at the reality on the ground. I mean, how many people are you okay with? I mean, you'd basically be removing settlements. Do you know how many settlements have how they've expanded? I mean, I'm not necessarily against that, but it's just like they would be if that's what a 2-state solution meant, is like uprooting a family from Brooklyn that just moved there.
Right.
They'd be like, oh no, that's their homeland from way long ago. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.